ज्योति स्टेनो टाइपिंग कॉलेज में आप सभी का स्वागत है बच्चों। कैसे आप सभी, उम्मीद करता हूँ अच्छे होंगे। ये इंग्लिश 80 WPM डिक्टेशन क्लास है। ये CRPF के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डिक्टेशन क्लास है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डिक्टेशन है। और ये SSC के लिए भी बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि आजकल इस तरह के ही मैटर जो है बोले जा रहे हैं, जिसमें टोटल 801 वर्ड हैं। डिक्टेशन स्टार्ट आफ्टर 5 सेकेंड। Let us return to the example of imports of Chinese toys in India. Suppose the Indian government puts a tax on import of toys. What would happen? Those who wish to import these toys would have to pay tax on this. Because of the tax, buyers will have to pay a higher price on imported tax. Chinese toys will no longer be as cheap in the Indian markets, and imports from China will automatically reduce. Indian toy makers will proper. Tax on imports is an example of trade barrier. It is called a barrier because some restriction has been set up. Governments can use trade barriers to increase or decrease foreign trade, and to decide what kinds of goods and how much of each should come into the country. The Indian government after independence had put barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment. This was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from foreign competition. Industries were just coming up in the 1950s and 1960s, and competition from imports at that stage would not have allowed these industries to come up. Thus, India allowed imports of only essential items such as machinery, fertilizers, petroleum, etc. Note that all developed countries during the early stages of development have given protection to domestic producers through a variety of means. Starting around 1991, some far-reaching changes in policy were made in India. The government decided that the time had come for Indian producers to compete with producers around the globe. It felt that competition would improve the performance of producers within the country, since they would have to improve their quality. This decision was supported by powerful international organizations. Thus, barriers on foreign trade and foreign investment were removed to a large extent. This meant that goods could be imported and exported easily, and also foreign companies could set up factories and offices here. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government is what is known as liberalization. With liberalization of trade, businesses are allowed to make decisions freely about what they wish to import or export. The government imposes much less restrictions than before and is therefore said to be more liberal. We have seen that the liberalization of foreign trade and investment in India was supported by some very powerful international organizations. These organizations say that all barriers to foreign trade and investment are harmful. Trade between countries should be free. All countries in the world should liberalize their policies. World Trade Organization WTO is one such organization whose aim is to liberalize international trade. Started at the initiative of the developed countries, WTO establishes rules regarding international trade and sees that these rules are obeyed. At present, 164 countries of the world are currently members of the WTO. Though WTO is supposed to allow free trade for all in practice, it is seen that the developed countries have unfairly retained trade barriers. On the other hand, WTO rules have forced the developing countries to remove trade barriers. An example of this is the current debate on trade in agricultural products. In the last 20 years, globalization of the Indian economy has come a long way. What has been its effect on the lives of people? Let us look at some of the evidence. Globalization and greater competition among producers, both local and foreign producers, has been of advantage to consumers, particularly the well-off sections in the urban areas. There is greater choice before these consumers who now enjoy improved quality and lower prices for several products. As a result, these people today enjoy much higher standards of living than was possible earlier. Among producers and workers, the impact of globalization has not been uniform. Firstly, MNCs have increased their investments in India over the past 20 years, which means investing in India has been beneficial for them. MNCs have been interested in industries such as cell phones, automobiles, electronics, soft drinks, fast food, or services such as banking in urban areas. These products have a large number of well-off buyers. In these industries and services, new jobs have been created. Also, local companies supplying raw materials, etc., to these industries have prospered. Secondly, several of the top Indian companies have been able to benefit from the increased competition. They have invested in newer technology and production methods and raised their production standards. Some have gained from successful collaboration with foreign companies. Moreover, globalization has enabled some large Indian companies to emerge as multinationals themselves. Tata Motors, Automobiles, Infosys, IT, Ranbaxy Medicines, Asian Paints, Sundaram Fasteners, Nuts and Bolts are some Indian companies which are spreading their operations worldwide. Globalization has also created new opportunities for companies providing services, particularly those involving IT. The Indian company producing a magazine for the London-based company and call centers are some examples. ये पूरे 801 वर्ड थे और इसकी स्पीड लगभग जो है 82 के आसपास रही है, 81 या 82 के आसपास। वेबसाइट पे इसको लगा दिया गया है। ये डिक्टेशन नंबर 6 के नाम से है। फोल्डर में आप जाओगे, जिसने मंथली भी ले रखा उसमें भी ये फोल्डर आपको दिख जाएगा, इंग्लिश 80 WPM न्यू डिक्टेशन नंबर 6 के नाम से। वहाँ जाकर के इसको आप टाइप कर सकते हो और अपने एक्यूरेसी को जान सकते हो। इस क्लास के अंदर इतना ही बच्चों। नमस्कार बच्चों।